You may have been told you look like a celebrity, your doppelganger. Now, some people say that I look like the Wish Dua Lipa, unfortunately, because I slightly resemble her. But in the classical context, doppelganger means something far more sinister than just a celebrity or a historical figure that you look like. In this context, it would be seeing someone nearly identical to you, like a clone or an identical twin. Why does this happen, and how is this possible? Is it an astral projection, a paranormal entity, or a bad omen that death is on its way? Let's dive into the cauldron and figure it out. My name's Kayla, and this is Cauldron Convos. Hit that button. Again, you're late on the cue. And I think this episode is coming out on Halloween, so if you're here with me in this smoky room, hey, what's up? Party. If you are new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button because we post here every single week here on Cauldron Convos. We post the spine-chilling, conspiracy theory, paranormal topics that you want to hear every single freaking week. We're here to entertain you, educate you, and of course, make you laugh. I will try. I can't promise anything, but I will try. Oh, also, I'll be replying to every comment from now on until I eventually hit the, 50K subs or something. Then I probably won't be able to reply to every single one. I don't know how long that's going to take, but in the meantime, write a comment and I'll reply to you. So exciting. Is this too much smoke? So what is a doppelganger and what is the history of this word? Doppelganger in German means double walker, and it refers to a biologically unrelated look-alike of a living person. And in mythology, seeing your doppelganger is actually a bad luck omen. And the concept of alter egos and double spirits has appeared in folklore, myths, religion, and traditions of various cultures. For example, in ancient Egyptian mythology, a Ka was a tangible spirit double, having the same memories and feelings as the counterpart person. In Norse mythology, a Vardogur is a ghostly double who is seen performing the actions in advance. In Finnish mythology, this pattern is described as having an Eltainen, a firstcomer. In 1848, Catherine Crowe's book on paranormal phenomenon, The Night Side of Nature, helped popularize the term doppelganger. Now, let's get into some famous cases of doppelganger stories so we can really identify what is going on here.
One of the earliest depictions of a doppelganger comes from a painting called How They Met Themselves. It was originally sketched in 1851 and later watercolored in 1864 by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. The interpretation of this painting is two medieval lovers are walking through the woods at twilight when they encounter their doubles, who glow supernaturally. The man draws his sword in astonishment, while his lover appears to collapse in a deathly swoon. Doppelganger imagery occurred in poems Rossetti admired, such as Elizabeth Barrett Browning's The Romanant of Margaret and Poe's Silence.
Now we're going to talk about a famous poet, John Donne, and his case of having a doppelganger. Now, an English writer, Isaac Walton, wrote a book called The Life of Dr. John Donne, a book about the life of his friend and metaphysical poet, John Donne. And in this book that was published in 1675, Walton claims that John saw his wife's doppelganger in 1612 in Paris on the same night she gave birth to their stillborn daughter. 2 days after the arrival there, Mr. Donne was left alone in that room in which Sir Robert and he and some other friends had dinner together. To this place, Sir Robert returned within half an hour, and as he left, so he found Mr. Donne alone. But in such ecstasy and so altered as to his looks, as amazed Sir Robert to behold him in so much that he earnestly desired Mr. Donne to declare befallen him in the short time of his absence, to which Mr. Donne was not able to make a present answer, but after a long and perplexing pause did at last say, "I have seen a dreadful vision since I saw you. I have seen my dear wife pass twice by me through this room, with her hair hanging about her shoulders and a dead child in her arms. This I have seen since I saw you." To which Sir Robert replied, "Sure, sir, you have slept since I saw you, and this is the result of some melancholy dream, which I desire you to forget, for you are now awake." To which Mr. Donne's reply was, "I cannot be sure that I now live, then that I have not slept since I saw you, and am sure that at her second appearing she stopped, looked me in the face, and vanished." That same night his wife gave birth to the stillborn daughter, and 5 days later, his wife actually passed away from complications from the birth.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
I think this is a great example of the doppelganger being a portrayal of death or death to come, which is a theme that we'll see in almost every story that involves the doppelganger.
Now, I wanted to talk about another famous doppelganger story that also has to do with a poet. On August 15th, while staying at Pisa, Percy's wife, Mary Shelley, an author, by the way, wrote Frankenstein, talk about girl boss, wrote a letter to Maria Gisborne in which she noted that Percy claimed that he had met his own doppelganger. A week after Mary's nearly fatal miscarriage, Percy had had a nightmare about the house collapsing in a flood, and this is what Mary wrote to her friend Maria in the letter. Talking it over the next morning, he told me that he had had many visions lately. He had seen the figure of himself which met him as he walked on the terrace and said to him, "How long do you mean to be content?" No very terrific words and certainly not prophetic of what has occurred, but Shelley had often seen these figures when ill. But the strangest thing is that Mrs. Williams saw him. Now Jane, though a woman of sensibility, has not much imagination and is not in the slightest degree nervous, neither in dreams or otherwise. She was standing one day, the day before I was taken ill, at a window that looked on the terrace with Trelawney. It was day. She saw as she thought Shelley pass by the window, as he often was then, without a coat or jacket. He passed again. Now as he passed both times the same way, and as from the side towards which he went time there was no way to get back except past the window again, she was struck at seeing him pass twice thus, and looked out, and seeing him no more, she cried, "Good God, can Shelley have leapt from the wall? Where can he be gone?" Shelley said Trelawney, "No, Shelley has passed. What do you mean?" Trelawney says that she trembled exceedingly when she heard this, and proved indeed that Shelley had never been on the terrace and was far off at the time she saw him.
That's frightening, and honestly, that gives me a lot of vibes of deja vu, which really brings me to the multiverse. It's going to be another repetitive theme in this, because it's almost like when you feel like you've done something before, because you have done it before in your own mind, but you haven't, that's just like, could be your doppelganger.
Yeah.
But it's just like a physical manifestation of your doppelganger.
Yeah.
Continue.
In addition to this letter, Percy Shelley, this man who's, having double of himself, his drama, Prometheus Unbound in 1820, contained this passage in Act 1. The Magus Zoroaster, my dead child, met his own image walking in the garden. That apparition, soul of men, he saw. For know there are two worlds of life and death, one that which thou beholdest, but the other is underneath the grave, where do inhabit the shadows of all forms that think and live, till death unite them and part no more. And Percy Shelley, on July 8th, 1822, the poet drowned in a sailing accident in the Bay of Spezia near Lecce in Italy.
Now this one is pretty crazy because it's one of the most famous people in history. Abraham Lincoln. Soon after his election in 1860, Abraham Lincoln saw his reflection doubled in the mirror. He tried to show his wife the apparition, which appeared 2 more times when she was not present. While his wife Mary Todd was first worried, she took the vision as a sign that he would serve 2 great terms, but would die before the end of the second. Lincoln did believe in power of dreams to predict the future. He did even have a dream where he walked through several rooms of the White House to the sound of crying before discovering a dead body lying. In the dream, he asked a nearby soldier who the body belonged to, and the soldier replied it was the president, murdered by assassination.
Whoa. And apparently he also didn't believe in mediums, really, because Mary Todd always had mediums at their house, because I guess they had a lot of miscarriages, and so she was into that stuff.
Yeah.
But he did believe in the power of dreams and, like, them being able to kind of foresee the future, which is pretty cool. How about that? Abraham Lincoln was a dreams paranormal stand, kind of.
I think it's always cool to hear about these historically important figures believing in, like, the paranormal. Like, Teddy Roosevelt used to hunt Bigfoot. That is so cool.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because Queen Elizabeth I was actually someone who did not really like the paranormal, which makes it even more interesting. But according to rumors in 1603, she saw herself lying motionless on her bed. She died soon after the experience, after seeing herself as a corpse in her own bed.
Oh, geez. And believe it or not, she wasn't the only royal to experience this. Who else did?
Catherine the Great, the longest female ruling leader in Russia, who took the throne by overthrowing her husband. Oh my God, all these powerful women in this. Okay, okay Frankenstein author that I forgot the name, that now I sound like an asshole.
Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley.
I think.
So, she also had a doppelganger. According to the account, Catherine was in her bedroom when some troubled servants came to tell her that they had just seen the Empress entering the throne room, even though she had been lying in her bed at the exact same moment. The Empress went directly to the room to investigate the servants' claims. Because, she's not scared of anything. She literally overthrew her husband. Once there, Catherine encountered a second version of herself, seated calmly on the throne. Ever formidable, the real Catherine ordered her guards to fire on the spectral queen. Presumably, the bullets had no effect, and her doppelganger disappeared with no further recurrences. But not long after this event, Catherine the Great collapsed and suffered a stroke. Within hours, she became comatose, and by the evening following the stroke, her reign permanently ended.
Brah, brah, brah. Imagine that, trying to shoot a freaking doppelganger. Only if Putin could see his doppelganger and he'd just die of a stroke. Make my life a whole lot easier. I think it'd make everyone's life a whole lot easier. This next story takes place in Eastern Europe and is the case of Emilie Sagee.
I think it's Sagee.
It looks like Sagee. Emilie.
Okay.
Emilie Sagee. Sorry. Emily was a teacher and was teaching a class of 17 girls when a projection-like entity appeared out of nowhere, and this entity looked just like her. Everyone in the class could see the entity, but Emily could not. Since the first sighting, more people from the school started seeing the projection of the doppelganger all over. When Emily was asked about the projection, she noted that she had no idea of what was going on. Some people...
He had no idea what was going on.
Some people have the theory this doppelganger comes out to do tasks that Emily herself was doing in an alternate universe, where she had made a choice different from that of the real world.
I don't get it, but...
What do you mean? So it's like... So say in a multiverse, right? There's two of you.
Yeah.
And one of you decides to walk one dog, and the... No, that's bad. One of you decides to sit on...
I wish I could walk out of this universe and go to wherever my astral project... Or, my... doppelganger is.
Well, there's an infinite amount in this theory.
Oh, yeah.
Because another part of the Emily story was she went out to garden while a substitute teacher was teaching her class. And then in the middle of the class, while she was gardening, her students could see her in the garden gardening. Her doppelganger came in, dismissed the other teacher without speaking a word, using hand signals, sat down, and the students were like, yo, who is this? We see our teacher outside gardening.
Oh my God.
And they actually went to touch her. When they touched her, right? Their hand didn't go through her. It was like a thicker substance.
Oh, yeah. It was like a cobweb or something.
Yeah. So
fog.
Stay woke of
Don't
cobweb people.
Thing.
Someone say fog.
It was almost like a substance like this. Ooh. 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 Okay, no more.
It turns out Emily didn't die. She was only fired from her job, unfortunately, because she ceased to do work because she became so self-absorbed with the theory of a doppelganger.
Oh.
So it wasn't like a death omen?
I thought that people were just like, oh no, yeah, she didn't die, yeah.
She didn't die, but she lost her job.
She just like constantly had one following her around.
So they're like, bye-bye. They're like, we'll fire both of you.
I know.
The teachers union probably wanted 2 salaries.
This is kind of more of the paranormal side of doppelgangers, right? This is kind of like a bad omen. You see something, there's not really evidence. We're not really sure if this actually happened, but it does. There are multiple accounts through history. It seems like a lot of famous people and renowned people like Abraham Lincoln, Catherine the Great. But they're actually doppelgangers that people see in real life.
That's the
like
scary
now,
part. And with the power
world.
of the internet, you can really tell your story to anybody.
Exactly. So what is the science behind doppelgangers in modern history? According to a 2022 paper in the journal Cell Reports, doppelgangers and people that share very similar faces actually share many of the same genes as well. A photographer named Francois Brunel has been taking intimate portraits of doppelgangers across the world for his project called I'm Not a Lookalike since 1999. Now, the scientists actually collaborated with Francois Brunel to perform their research, and researchers asked 32 pairs of these doppelgangers questions and analyzed their DNA. Now, the researchers used facial recognition software to analyze the photos of the doppelgangers and computed a score to quantify the similarities among their faces. After comparing the scores to identical twin scores, they actually awarded twin-like scores to exactly half of the doppelganger pairs. And when looking at their DNA, they found out that 9 of the 16 pairs shared many common genetic variations known as single nucleotide polymorphisms. The geneticists noted this means that these pairs are therefore like virtual twins. Their lifestyles were also more similar than to someone that doesn't look like them. For example, their weight, their height, smoking history, and education as well. Because the human population is now 7.9 billion, these look-alike repetitions are increasingly likely to occur. Photoscopy is a term used in psychiatry and neurology for the hallucinations of seeing one's own body at a distance. It can occur as a symptom in schizophrenia and epilepsy, and it's considered a possible explanation for doppelganger phenomena. However, I don't know if this could justify or explain some of the other stories that we were talking about before, because other people were witnesses to the accounts of, the doppelganger. For example, the Queen, was it Catherine the Great?
Catherine the Great, yeah, she had her guards shoot the doppelganger. Also, Abe Lincoln, Mary Todd Lincoln, although she didn't see it, she saw it in a dream that had the premonition that Abe would die.
No, he had the dream. I think she just interpreted it for him.
Oh.
But there were other cases we
Bad
talked
bitch.
about that other people saw. So maybe it is because they're dying and they're kind of hallucinating and seeing themselves. But, who knows? So let's talk about social media, technology, and doppelgangers, because as you said, that because of social media, people can find their doppelgangers. Like, I can post a picture of myself on actually their websites that do this. You could upload your photo and see if it matches with anyone.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah, and
that.
people meet up with their doppelgangers.
That's
kind of
cool. It's funny. You actually worked with someone that looks just like you.
No, she didn't look
She
that...
did too.
Now, there actually have been articles and posts on the internet of modern day people meeting their doppelgangers, which is obviously more common, like we said, now than before, because there are nearly 8 billion people in the world. This today.com article that I found was kind of crazy. An Ohio dad met his doppelganger in Las Vegas at a pool. And I'll show you the photo if you want to see. The guy was quoted to say, "Everybody on the opposite side pointed at me laughing, and I just got a little embarrassed," the 46-year-old professor at Kent State University told Today. "I look back at my friends and they're pointing out some other dude and laughing. I look over and it was like looking in a mirror. I've seen guys who had similarities to me, but man, this guy just looked just like me. It was pretty surreal."
7 out of 10. Guy on the left has far more of a Fu Manchu and less chest hair versus the guy on the right.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're completely similar, but it's also interesting because the pair even were wearing similar hats and almost the same exact pair of glasses. Do you think if their glasses and the hat was off, they wouldn't look similar?
When was this taken? Does it say? When was this article from? Because I feel like that style of glasses was very popular a couple years ago. Oh, this is from September 1st, 2022. I'm thinking like in 2014, that style of glasses was
Yeah, I guess it's not that similar. Oh, well. Well, that was one of the kids. But that's crazy if you saw that. Like, they're literally wearing hat. And they're the only two people in the pool wearing their glasses. And they're like the same pair of glasses.
Yeah.
Weird.
I wonder what their prescription is.
I wonder if it's the same. So that's just one of the articles online. But there are actually crazier ones on Reddit. I'm also showing another image that the people look kind of similar, and they're even kind of wearing not similar clothing but similar style. They have a backwards hat on, their hair is curly. I don't know. I just thought it was funny that someone posted my friend found her doppelganger at a party, and it got a bunch of upvotes.
That's an interesting story, but I find the ones on Reddit to be far more compelling.
Late at night, I usually go to the bathroom multiple times, but for the past 4 days, every time I go to leave, I can see myself still, standing in the mirror from the corner of my eye. It is like the other me is watching me leave the bathroom. It terrifies me to the point where I almost run out without looking directly at the mirror. I never told my husband about it because I didn't want to acknowledge it out loud. Earlier today, I took a nap in our bed while he sat in the chair next to it watching TV. When I woke up, he told me that he had seen me sit up and crawl backwards to the edge of the bed and stand up in front of our bedroom door from the corner of his eye. He thought it was weird I got up like that because I'm in the last month of my pregnancy and I can't really move so good without it hurting. So he tried talking to me. When I didn't answer, he looked at the door to find me not there and still sleeping in bed. I got really creeped out and I finally told him about what I have been seeing in the bathroom. He thought it was creepy as well, but didn't want to really talk about it anymore because he thinks it'll give whatever it is power or energy. I have no idea what it wants or why we have both seen it.
That's so scary. That reminds me of us when we both felt that thing in my brother's house.
Other people in the comments were also kind of jumping in and saying that they've had a similar experience. For example, someone commented, "This occurred a few years ago to me too. Apparently my sister saw me walking out of the house. She tried to call out my name, but I walked out the door. Then I disappeared. The next minute, I'm actually responding and walk out of my room. She was creeped out." Someone also commented, "Check your carbon monoxide levels."
Oh my gosh. So here's another story from Reddit that we thought was pretty compelling. When I was about 16 or 17, I was really heavy into doing Ouija boards. Other stuff happened, but doppelgangers were definitely the worst. The first one was my mom. I heard her come in, and my best friend was with me. She and I walked down to greet her. She looked like a younger version of my mom and was carrying groceries, so I tried calling out to her, but she didn't respond and walked into my brother's room. Then I got a sick feeling. I called out to her, but she didn't respond still. So I followed up. She was not there. When I walked back down, my real mom had come in and didn't know what was going on. She was also wearing a different outfit. Now this one's interesting. I think that, like in our Ouija podcast from a couple weeks ago, there are a lot of bad omens that are associated with Ouija boards and with doppelgangers, but this one didn't necessarily seem too negative. This just kind of seemed like, this person has opened up a portal using the Ouija board, and this is kind of a reaction from it.
Just another quick one that was upvoted on this thing as the most creepy out of all of them. Someone wrote, "I remember one time I was talking to my dad in a hallway of my house once. I don't really remember what it was about, but we both saw my mom clearly walk past us and enter a room, shutting the door. I walked back out into the living room and my mom was still on the couch, asleep. I looked back at my dad and he looked at me. We were both terrified. We creeped over to their bedroom and looked at the closed door. Neither of us went inside. We were freaked out. I'm pretty sure my dad slept on the floor that night." So that account, both of them saw the mom walk by into the room, but she was on the couch when they went in the living room.
Yikes.
So now we're going to conclude and kind of discuss what we think, because we talked about stories of real accounts. We talked about stories of, real accounts but read on Reddit, and the articles of people that look alike.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to give our hot take because we went through some historical accounts as well as modern accounts of doppelgangers.
So I think that these cases of doppelgangers, there's two kind of different cases. There's one that is doppelgangers nowadays, which apparently, because there's so many people in the world, because now we have social media, we can easily find people that look very similar to us. However, I think that this is different than the historical kind of events that we were talking about, the stories, and the more recent ones that are on Reddit, like the paranormal doppelganger effect, which is pretty crazy if you see yourself. Do I think it's a bad omen? I kind of do. I think maybe it is like something to do with astral projection or like whatever, us in an alternate universe coming to us, to our world, as like a way to bring us with them, or maybe like a sign, or I don't know, just being there for us if we need them to be. Like maybe that's why that one was with Emily the whole time. I don't know. Maybe she was like, I gotta be there with her in this universe. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know what to think, because part of me feels like it's definitely an omen in some sort, but then I kind of tie it into the Mandela effect, where it's just an alternate universe and deja vu. And the reason why I bring this up is because I've experienced genuine deja vu. Of course, I can't recount anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has.
But it's just crazy to experience something that you thought you've already experienced.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, maybe it's a trick of the mind. I mean, we don't really understand consciousness, so we don't know what's making us tick. But I think I'd be freaking terrified of two of myself.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I feel like the doppelganger, there's not even evidence. These are all stories, but for some reason I kind of believe this one more than the Ouija boards,
more than haunted dolls.
It's interesting because it's kind of there is something, we know that there's something bigger than us, and we know that the universe is weird and weird things happen. So it's would it be that weird if there's an alternate universe where we were in as well and somehow they ended up here? No, not super. I mean, I feel like that could happen.
This is off topic, but it's also relevant. I was watching a documentary on the Hare Krishna cult, and they were talking about reincarnation and why they believe in reincarnation. And she said that basically when you die, you're still there. Your body is still there, but your soul is gone.
Ooh, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, no, if you've ever been in New York City, shout out to the Hare Krishna in Union Square.
So that's about it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great Halloween. I love you guys so much. And make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not. Hit like, comment, whatever, because I reply to every single comment. And I'll see you guys next time here on Cauldron Convos. Bye. It's dead.
Not working.
Wow. Okay, pretend smoke came out. Okay, bye.